Hello spicy people of the internet, my name is Stand Up Poet, aka See That Girl, Watch That Scene, Here's Dick Dastardly, and welcome to the Spice 8 Rack. With Ravnica Allegiance now fully released, it's time to get into the nitty and the gritty of how this set holds up flavour-wise. To me, an instance of successful flavour is when a card's mechanics line up with the story the card is trying to tell or the feeling the card is trying to convey. It can also be a moment of particularly excellent flavour text writing or even a satisfying beat in a story of a set. As a note, I'm recording this a week before my local pre-release, so here's a quick message from future Connor, who just completed his first pre-release since Shadows over Innistrad. How did you do, future Connor?
I accidentally drafted Golgari.
That's great! Well done! Now, without further ado, let's break down the top 5 flavour wins from Ravnica Allegiance. Number 5, humongous. Now, I hate puns. I hate puns with a passion rivaled only by my burning desire for the flamenco. And as much as I loved his first appearance, I've grown deeply numb to the charm of all of the Fibblethip memes and appearances on cards. So why is this card even on my list if it's both a pun and a Fibblethip reference? Well, it's because of its interaction, or lack thereof, with the card where Fibblethip first appeared. God, that is a frustrating name to say. This humongous homunculus stands head and shoulder over the crowd he's searching through, as we can see in the art, meaning that unlike his sibling, child, pet, he cannot get totally lost. This is exemplified with his sole piece of rules text, the fact he has hexproof, meaning that he also cannot be targeted by the spell Totally Lost. This is an inconsequential but ultimately charming reference, although the corny flavour text and the fact that Totally Lost doesn't actually appear in this set to enhance the reference pushes the card down to my number 5 slot. Number 4. Gruul Guildgate number 250. Why Gruul Guildgate number 250 specifically? Well, throughout Guilds of Ravnica blocks so far, each guild has gotten 2 separate printings of their guild gates with alternative art and flavour text. Each big gate has flavour text from the guild master, and each small door has flavour text from the guild's champion, who is pretty much the second most important or renowned person in the guild. Gruul breaks this 9-card cycle by featuring Rurik Thar on its small door flavour text, while showcasing Nicky of the Old Ways as its guild champion. Whilst I imagine this has deeply frustrated every player who cares about symmetry, it's actually kind of a genius move for Wizards to do this. The one guild who despises Ravnica's cities for all their structure and order is the one guild that revolts against a multi-set cycle. Does this affect gameplay in the story? No. Is it cute? Yes, and it's number 4. Number 3, Kaya's Wrath. The Ghost Council of Orzhova, or the Obzedat, are famously difficult to kill, partly because they're already dead and have been for a hot minute now, but mostly because of their vast wealth and power. They are able to protect themselves against any threat before it even happens, as we saw in the Family Values story where Teysa Karlov tried and failed to reveal the true extent of the Ghost Council's corruption, only to get caught and imprisoned by her ancestor, and head of the Obzedat itself, Grandfather Karlov. The Obzedat seemed untouchable. That was until a certain planeswalker who was first introduced to the game as a ghost assassin who had already killed one incredibly powerful spirit in the form of Brago King Eternal turned up on Ravnica. Kaya is the one character I would have readily believed could end the Obzedat's unlife, and the art depicts this happening in a very Yondu from the Guardians of the Galaxy way. The flavour text as well is perfectly succinct and tells you everything you need to know about the build up to this event and what transpired during it. In an act of revenge, Teysa set up the meeting and Kaya ended it. Mwah! Number 2, Guardian Project. This 4-mana enchantment is a wonderful example of how a card's mechanics and effects can almost perfectly match the card's flavour and the broader flavour of the organisation this card is representing. The Simic's greatest strength comes from its diversity, says the flavour text, reflecting the Simic Combine's attitude towards melding creatures of different tribes together for tactical and financial gain. Both this process and this gain is perfectly represented in the mechanics of this card, which encourages you to diversify your creature base in your deck in order to ensure more consistent card draw. As bonus flavour points, which I shall be referring to as morsels from now on. It is my channel, I can do what I like. The guardian in this artwork is actually a combination of the three creatures who are surrounding him. In the high-res artwork, we can see a very human face, several merfolk fins, and elf ears which match the shape of those seen on the third Simic scientist whose back is to the camera. The only small way that this card stumbles flavor-wise is that it still works in tribal singleton decks such as EDH elves and snakes, whose entire strategy is built on single creature types. To be fully flavorful, this card would have had to check creature types rather than card names, but that would have made this card virtually unplayable, and so I understand why Wizards stopped at this level of flavor. Now, before I reveal my top flavor win for the entire of Ravnica Allegiance, it's time for some honorable mentions. Rakdos Showstopper. This card has a lovely bit of flavor text which showcases Rakdos' character in the set in two simple words, which match very well with his name, imposing art, and toying ability. However, Mr. Doss only gets an honorable mention here because this same kind of flavor text has already appeared on another recent card to similar effect. Padim, Console of Innovation, asked players to impress him, which perfectly encapsulated this hitherto unknown character in two simple words. Had Rakdos been printed before Padim, he probably would have ended up on this list. However, this very much feels like a writer trying to bottle lightning twice. Elite Arrester and Ragefire. These two cards can only be found in the Planeswalker decks that feature Dovin, Architect of Law, and Domri, City Smasher. They have no interesting applications flavor-wise within the larger set as a whole. However, you may notice that Elite Arrester has 3 toughness, and is exactly killed by Ragefire. You may also notice that Ragefire's art is a point of view piece, and, judging from the gauntlets and shape of the helmet's opening, it is in fact from the perspective of the Elite Inquisitor. The flavor text also reflects the spell specifically targeting a Law Enforcer. This is a cute little representation of how these cards may interact with one another, and if you are a newer player to the game, it gives you a hint as to how you ought to play these cards. It is a very cute little reference in the art, and I very much appreciate it. Cerulli Caretaker. Concordia Pegasus. This is just a regular old blue-white flyer limited all-star, but that flavor text is just so wonderfully Simic. What makes a frog lizard worse than a bird horse? It's prejudice against the Simic. That's what. It's unfair. And finally, at number 1, we have the Spectacle Mechanic. Yes, okay, this maybe is a bit of a cop-out, but the flavour of Spectacle is just so strong that I couldn't pick out a single card out of all of them as my top flavour win within Ravnica Allegiance. The Cult of Rakdos relishes carnage, and Spectacle perfectly encapsulates the fervour that violence brings them. Provided your opponent has lost life this turn, Rakdos cards with Spectacle suddenly become a lot better, either by making extraordinary actions and characters easier to call upon with a cheaper mana cost, or by giving them additional powerful effects. This ability fits perfectly into the Cult of Rakdos' identity, and the mechanic perfectly conveys the bloodlust that drives the guild. Rakdos has always had some of the most flavourful mechanics throughout their appearance in Ravnica, and I believe Spectacle to be an absolute flavour slam dunk. And that's it for my top 5 flavour wins of Ravnica Allegiance. What would you have had on your list? Have I missed any examples of excellent flavour? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you'd like to see me cover next, either in the comments or by hitting me up on social media at StandUpPoet. I'm always looking for new video ideas, and I may as well suck all the good concepts out of you lovely viewers whilst I still can. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay spicy.